Why do we see this hat everywhere now? These last few years. Shoot, even I have one. But what is the appeal? Would you consider the Bass Pro Shops logo iconic? Let's start by examining the graphic elements of this logo. There are three main parts to it. We have the oval shape, we have the fish, and we have the letters. What's interesting about these is none of them would work without the other. The oval has been used in many famous company logos like Ford or Disney, and it kind of represents the feeling of a badge. Badges tend to look good on hats aesthetically. The cool thing about a badge is that it fills up more space than just text alone or a logo alone. That black outline creates contrast, and that contrast means the combination of the colors can look well on a lot of different colored hats. And the thing about trucker hats, most of them tend to have a white front cap. What complements that even more is that trucker hats in general have become a lot more popular in recent years. And so it's become perfect timing for something like this to kind of pop off. The bass on the hat coming out of the shape gives it depth, especially on one of these embroidered hats. Another reason I would say it is perfect is because if you even changed the font to be a little thicker, even a little bit, the whole logo would be off. The whole thing would just not be the same. I want you to look at their old logo and look at their new logo. What are the differences? Clearly the newer one looks a lot better. If they were still using the old logo, people would not be wearing the hats around because they like fishing the way that they're worn around now. The general appeal of the store represents with its architecture and decor and even being labeled as a tourist attraction, apparently. It appeals to people who identify with appreciating nature and the outdoors and doing activities outside. And when you take into account that most humans like to be outside and appreciate the outdoors, it makes it make more sense. It gives them a much wider audience than most companies, especially when they are the go-to outdoors store. Fish represent a lot to human history, and that's why I would say the presence of the bass is so important. I mean, it's just like sports teams. Humans like to associate animals, creatures, whatever, with a team, a logo, something to identify it with. Look at a company like Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's uses their beaver to associate all the meaning to their logo. If Buc-ee's didn't have a beaver in their logo or represented in their brand, they would not be nearly as popular. It's an easy way to create character and create subliminal connection to the consumer, which is what we see with sports teams. That's where there's proof of that. And so Buc-ee's utilizes this by putting the beaver on all sorts of products, selling all and everything with the Buc-ee beaver on it. That kind of association is what can give a brand that recognizability over time. And if Bass Pro Shops didn't have a bass on it, it wouldn't be Bass Pro Shops. The bass is like the perfect representation of that outdoorsy vibe. The average hat wearer does not need to be an avid fisherman, but more so that they just appreciate nature. And I think that is why people love animal logos so much, is because they're just part of us in a way. A giant appeal of this hat is the price. I mean, I thrifted this one. This one was $3 for me, but they sell the normal ones for like $6. Those ones are printed, but you can even get the embroidered ones for only $10. Where else do you see embroidered hats for $10? You don't really. And on top of that, they offer so many different color options and so many different styles of hats. So it just kind of is the perfect storm of marketing to incentivize people to buy and spread their hats around. When you see a hat or a fashion item that looks good, people start asking, where'd you get that? Some hats are just staples in fashion, like the Detroit Tigers or the Yankees hat. And I really do think that the Bass Pro Shops hat is approaching that iconic recognizability. Bass Pro Shops seems to have pioneered the trucker hat in recent years. At least for me, I've used it as a source of inspiration for some of my own hats that I sell right now. When it comes down to it, their logo is great. It's super clean. They offer a lot of color options for their hats. Their hats are cheap. They're accessible to a lot of people. And there is a big audience that they generally appeal to. For all those reasons, that's why I think the Bass Pro Shops logo is iconic. And I hope you have a good day. Peace.